You can go ahead and raise your hand physically. Yeah, everyone's screen. Who here has a iPhone? So that's the majority. So raise your hand if you have a Samsung. Okay. Okay. Raise your hand if you are on a Mac. If you use a Mac. Okay. And raise your hand if you're on a PC. All right. So I think we're all set. I'm going to mute myself, and Joseph, take it away.
Hello, I'm Joe North. How are you all doing this evening? First of all, the thing that I do want to reiterate is that I am indeed no expert. It is true, I've been writing songs for a long time, mostly on paper, and then recording on tape. In the mid-90s, I got my first digital recorder, and it was not very good. But we are at a very different place now in time, particularly in terms of what tools are available to us to make the work easier. And the work being catching the inspiration, capturing it when it happens, wherever we might be, and then finding inspiration out of nothing. And then third, having some tools that aid us in our composition. That's what I consider to be the primary workflow. We're not going to be talking about studio production or formal recording or anything like that today. We're talking about the few inexpensive tools that are available to us right now, free or nearly free, that just help us do the initial work of building a song, capturing the raw materials, assembling them, and turning it into something that's good. So that is my workflow. It's a 1, 2, 3 workflow. I do have a number 4 here, which is the bonus round. So if I don't talk too much, we might get to the bonus round, and there might be something interesting there. Who's to say? Step 1 is catching lightning in a bottle. And what am I talking about? Well, you know, walking down the street, and all of a sudden you have a song in your head. I hope I remember that until I get home, and then I can record it on my big reel-to-reel that I have to find. No. We all have one of these guys with us, so we might as well use it. Now I know that on if you're using an iPhone, you have a voice recorder that is pretty good, but it doesn't give you a lot of options. My primary phone is a Samsung phone, an Android phone, and so I use a recorder in Android that I am very, very fond of. Let me show it to you. So this is called Rec Forge, and Rec Forge is free and gives you full functionality. If you want to record MP3s, then you pay $3.49 and you get the MP3 encoder. But out of the box for free, it'll record WAV files. If you have the storage, that's great. Now, what I like about it, and this is what I really wanted to show you, is it allows you to customize the default file name, which I have set here for a timestamp, a date and timestamp. And what that means to me is that when I make a voice note or a recording of a melody or whatever, I don't have to name it. The file is automatically named. I don't have to date stamp it by saying, okay, today, I think today's Wednesday, it's the first Wednesday of whatever. I don't have to worry about that. The program automatically dates it in a format that is easily sortable in any file browser. And that's really important to me because I tend to take a lot of notes. Not that any of them are any good, but I still like to keep them organized. Uh, the other thing that I really like about this is that it lets you see the waveform as it's recording. And that gives me a sense of reassurance that I'm actually getting this great idea that I just woke up at 3:30 in the morning, rolled out of bed, and hummed a few notes while standing in the walk-in closet so I wouldn't wake anybody else up. Seeing that waveform as my note is being recorded makes a big difference to me. It gives me a sense of assurance that I'm getting this down. I may never listen to it again, full disclosure, but at least I know it's there. And you can see I also have this little gain on the bottom, so if it's particularly loud, if I'm in a loud place, I can drop the gain down, or I can raise it up if I'm recording in a whispered tone, and that gives me a little bit more gain on the input. I love this little app. That's all it does. It doesn't do anything fancy, but I've been using it now for several years, and I honestly could not live without it. Let me show you another app I can't live without. This one is entirely free. This is OneNote. Microsoft makes it. Now I just brought it up in Android. It has a little floaty button here that you can move around, and it's on every page. It just floats over the entire application of Android, and wherever you are, no matter what application you're in, or even if the screen is locked, you can open it and take a quick note. Now this is really handy because I don't even have to type if I don't want to. I can just tell it to take dictation, and it will do that. The application looks identical on iOS, and it has pretty much the same features on iOS. So on iOS, I can talk, and it will type as I go, and that means that I can use this while I'm driving in my car. I don't have to pay close attention to it. I can keep my eyes on the road, and I can be fairly confident that it will record everything that I'm saying, and it'll make sense when I go home and look at it. There's one additional feature that I really like about OneNote, and that is that all of my OneNote notebooks are saved to the cloud. So after I take my note, once I stop typing, that note is automatically saved. There's no save button. And it pushes that note up to the cloud, which means it's propagated out to all of my computers. So no matter what computer I'm on, I can get to my notes. And it is very easy to be able to search and sort for the note that I'm looking for. It has a very robust search tool. Kick this out and just type in a search, and it'll come right up. You can see I'm actually in OneNote right now with this presentation. The other thing, step 2, is getting inspired and sketching out an idea. Now this is a little bit different than what we were talking about in step 1. Step 1 is you wake up and you have an idea, or you're walking and you have an idea and you need to just capture it wherever you are. Step 2 is a little bit different because step 2 is deliberate insofar as I'm going to decide that I will sit down at my desk and I'm going to work for an hour or two. I don't have anything on my mind. I don't have anything planned. I have no agenda. I'm just going to sit down, I'm going to pick up the guitar, and I'm going to see what happens. And when I do that, I like to have this app handy. This app is called Studio Mini. And Studio Mini, I use it on my iPad. Probably should have raised my hand, Alice, earlier when you said, do you have an iPhone? But an iPad is not an iPhone. I have an iPad. And I love this app because it takes me back to the old 4-track Tascam days, you know? It doesn't do anything fancy. I can't do any editing. It doesn't show me what the form looks like. It just has 4 channels that I can record to. Plus, it has a drum loop. So if I need to find some tempo or something to inspire me, I can just scoot around till I find something that really kind of piques my interest. Oh, I'm going to use that one. And if I want to record a channel, I just arm the channel, and hit record. It gives me a 2-measure count, 1-measure count in, and then I can just record. As I said, it's nothing fancy, but if I need some inspiration, having those few little drum loops in there, and it's not an infinite collection, it's only like maybe 20 or 30 of them. And you can't even change it. You have a few set tempos, and that's all it is. But it's just enough to get the juices flowing when I am sitting down, poised to do work. So that's the first thing I really like about this program. The second thing that I love about this app is that there are times when I'm working on a song and I have an idea for a harmony or for a solo. But if I'm using RecForge, RecForge only has 1 channel. So it's not really a multi-track. And the truth is that I have yet to find a halfway decent multi-track in Android. But this little Studio Mini app is just fantastic because I can go ahead and deliberately lay down a pretty good guitar track and then go back and record my lead vocal over it, and then go back and record a harmony over it, and then go back and record a little solo in the middle. And it's nothing that I'm going to use in the studio for production, but it helps me to formalize what I'm hearing in my head and get it down in a way that I can be reminded of what I was thinking about when the germ of the song first presented itself. So this for me is great. If you feel like you need something bigger, Studio Mini also makes a Studio Mini XL, which is 8 channels instead of 4. Well, that's way too many. I get confused after 4. 4 is plenty for me. If I want something bigger, I have Pro Tools. I can do something fancy in Pro Tools. But the idea of this is that this is it. I don't need external mic. I can plug my headphones in here, and I can play the drum loop and record against that, and it's fantastic. Compositional aids are little apps that I have found that I just rely on when I'm sitting down and writing a song out. I'm not really good with music theory. I've forgotten my circle of fifths. Most of my songs, if you've heard them, they're mostly cowboy songs, man. There's nothing fancy. I just want to go ahead and let you know up front, full disclosure. That's what it is. So when I'm writing a song and I'm dealing with a chord shape that I don't know what it is, but man, it sounds like what really needs to be here. I like to use this reverse chord finder, and I know that iOS has these as well. I love it because this is a chord I play all the time. There it is. That's also the first chord in Sugar Mountain, for all you trivia buffs. So this gives me a way that I can document and actually name the chord that I'm playing. It makes it a little bit easier to find it on the piano, and I'm very fond of using that. Conversely, if I am deep into chords and I do need an inversion, I have this little chord inversion, this guitar chord finder that gives me the inversions and the relative minors, and you just pick the chord and tell it what you want, and it'll find all the different fingerings that you can play. And for me, that's also very helpful. The last compositional aid is low tech. It is this. This is a little chord tablature stamp. And I use this on my manuscripts, particularly where I have a descending chord sequence, or or I'm playing a chord that I name it, but when I look at the name, it doesn't mean anything to me. I used to just draw the tablature out by hand, but getting this little stamp has really changed everything, because now I can, when I do my manuscript, I can go ahead and put the little tablatures on the bottom, so it's like, oh yeah, that was the descending D that I wanted to use for that. It makes the world of difference. These aren't big things. Individually, none of these apps really makes a big difference. But cumulatively, from my particular workflow, they've made a tremendous amount of difference. They have eliminated for me a lot of the causes of resistance that in the past have kept me from sitting down and pursuing the completion of a song. Having these little tools available has made it a far more joyful experience for me to be able to feel like, yeah, I'm going to sit down and I'm going to work on that next, because I've got my notes, I've got my tools. If I need a drum beat, I've got a drum beat, and I don't have to start up Pro Tools and then find something in MIDI. I don't have to do any of that. I just start up Studio Mini and go. And anything that I can do to eliminate the resistance inside of me that gets in the way of finishing work and having closure on a song, anything I can do, any little trick, any little app that helps me to push that resistance out of the way, that is money well spent. And in this case, it ain't a lot of money. It's just not. That's just about it. We did make it to the bonus round. So I want to talk about just a couple more things. We doing okay, Alice? Okay, 4 thumbs up. I like that. So I want to talk about the metronome. You would think that that's kind of an old school thing, and I did too, until I heard one of my guitar heroes mention, oh yeah, I practice scales all the time with a metronome. And I thought, wait a minute, I practice scales every day. I never use a metronome. I don't know if this is good or not. I need to find out. And what I discovered was that it really makes a big difference. And what's best about it is it's completely free. Now, iOS and Android, you'll find hundreds of metronomes. As my grandmother would say, as she was taking me into Alexander's to buy a new shirt, pick out something nice you like. And so I offer that to you. The last thing I want to talk about is curation. You may have been thinking, gosh, Joe, you've got all of these little tools for collecting stuff. How do you keep it organized? Well, the truth is that most of what I do teeters on the brink of entropy. So I have to be very deliberate in curation of my notes and my ideas, because it gets out of hand very quickly. And so it's kind of an ebb and flow. I'll collect ideas and then I'll curate them. I'll listen to them and I'll put them in the right folders. There are two tools that I find indispensable for that. The first is Microsoft OneDrive. OneDrive is available on every platform, and you get 5 gigabytes of cloud storage free. Now, if you do Pro Tools, 5 gigabytes, not a lot. But if you're using it just for notes, OneNote notes, or MP3 notes, it could last a very long time. You could go quite far with Microsoft OneDrive, a free account that gives you 5 gigabytes of space. Here's one thing that you should consider. Dana and I use OneDrive for our studio work. I have a full account for OneDrive. The home account is 5 Microsoft accounts. Each Microsoft account gets 1 terabyte of space. That's about $100 a month total for that, for 5 terabytes. So I have one account, that Microsoft account, that is dedicated to just my music stuff. I am able to share that with Dana, who only has a free account. So even though he only has a 5 gigabyte account, when I share a portion of my cloud storage, my paid cloud storage with him, he has access to my full 1 terabyte. It doesn't count against his storage. I believe that OneDrive is the only cloud file storage system that does not ding both users for the shared volume. But for me, that's a huge value, and we have been very successful at running all of our studio work from Pro Tools directly into OneDrive for years. We've never had any trouble. Another tool is File FX, which is this is an Android file organizing tool. What I like about this is that it is very easy to navigate, find, and move files on your Android phone. For those of you who have iOS, there really aren't a lot of file storage options for iOS because that part of the OS is not really available to you. So this is an Android-specific application, but it gives you a file browsing experience that is very similar to what you would find on your desktop. In addition to that, if you get the File Explorer Plus version for $2 and all of $2.99, you also get cloud storage. And so in cloud storage, you have access to all of your OneDrive files, which you can easily move back and forth from your mobile device using this little utility. I haven't found anything else that makes it easier to manage cloud storage files than this tool. I hope you take some time to take a look at some of these. We'll put up a list with some links after the presentation so you can take some time and explore on your own, and I hope we can continue this discussion.
Thank you, Joe. This presentation will be backed up on YouTube, so you can look at it again and see any links or any tips or any comments that you may have missed. And you can also feel free to share it to your friends and musical partners so that y'all can work together and make beautiful music together. So, and I love that part, Joe, about the resistance and to break down that resistance as a creative souls. We have that and we don't want to do the work, but we want to do the work, and this will help us push through. That was my favorite part of this presentation.
Thank you.
Yeah, thanks, Joe.
All of you, I wish you
Thank you.
doing good work and stay healthy and safe and make something good.
Thank you all so much for spending an hour with us. You guys rock. See y'all soon.
Thank you all so much. Bye.
Watching the world turn around.
someone like you living with someone like me. It takes a lot of mourning to conceal the shame.